Well, welcome everyone to the University of Baltimore presentation today for the Master of Arts in Integrated Design, sponsored by the Klein Family School of Communications Design. My name is Yasmin Perkins. I am the Senior Admissions Counselor for the Graduate Degree Program. And on the call today, I have Charlie Martino, who's the Coordinator of Operations and Academic Student Services, as well as the Program Advisor, and Megan Rhee, who is our Program Director. Today, you will hear from Megan and Professor Rhee. She's going to share a little bit about the program with you all. Just a few housekeeping rules you want to make sure of. You want to make sure your Zoom etiquette is full-fledged, so make sure that you are muted. Feel free to use the chat box to ask any questions that you have. And please know that for this call, your video is not required.
Sorry, as I speak on.
Before the end of this program, we're hoping that we can provide you with an overview of the Master of Arts in Integrated Design at Universities of Shady Grove. And we also want to make sure that we help you walk through the steps to becoming a UB student. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you Professor Megan Rhee, who is the Program Director for the Master of Arts in Integrated Design. Welcome. Megan?
Thanks, Yasmin. Hi, everyone. My name is Megan Rhee, as Yasmin said, and I am the Program Director for the Master of Arts in Integrated Design program at the University of Baltimore. And I oversee both the program at the university's main campus as well as the University of Shady Grove location. So today we're going to be talking about our 36-credit Master of Arts program in Integrated Design. So what is integrated design? Hopefully, because you're already interested, you have some ideas and some things that you're interested and intrigued by. But I like to say that integrated design is this combination of a whole lot of things. Really, print, web, and motion are key to what we're looking at. We talk about design being integrated because it really is an integration of skills that employers are looking for in today's ever-evolving communication industry. So we focus on more than just software learning or basic principles of design. We really look at conceptual thinking, developing your writing skills, working on research development, and looking at the ways that we can communicate to specific audiences across various media platforms. Students often want to know what will they accomplish by coming to the MA program. And there's a whole lot of things that we could talk about, so I'll just hit a few of the highlights. Really, you're going to learn how to communicate with specific audiences through words and images. It's all about this integration of both the visual and the verbal coming together to communicate a really strong message to specific audiences. The other things that we're going to study and look at are going to be things like typography, page layout, conceptual design, and design thinking, and how those things apply in those other mediums, such as like video and web production. In the program, students are typically building a fantastic portfolio that gets them career ready, whether that's to transition careers or advance their current career. You will also become a part of a network of more than 1,400 alumni who are worldwide, and you will get a chance to opportunity to network with others in your field or in the field that you wish to pursue by being a part of our program. So what are the program requirements? So in a 36-degree program, we have several core required courses. This is a total of 21 credits, and it is a combination of theory and basic design skills that we work on here through visual and verbal rhetoric, creative methodologies, where we work on an understanding of your process. So how do you understand, how do you come up with an idea, and how do you see it come to fruition? And in creative methodologies, we work on how to replicate that process over and over again and to talk about that process, which is something that we find employers are really looking for, your understanding of process and your ability to explain it. We look at type 1 fundamentals and basics of web development. And then in your capstone courses, portfolio and seminar, you are putting together all the skills you've learned. You take those in your final semester of the program. You develop your personal portfolio and a website and a personal identity brand to help you market your new skills. And in seminar, we work in teams in a real world client application to give you even more projects to put into that portfolio. You're also required to take an advanced writing course, and we offer quite a variety of those at the University of Baltimore at Shady Grove. And so there's no specific course listed there because there's quite a few. We offer a writing course each semester. So that makes up a total of 21 credits in the program. The other 15 credits to get to the degree come from a combination of electives. What are you interested in? What do you need to learn more about? What are you passionate about? Where do you want your portfolio to develop? And so we offer courses in print design, in web design, in motion graphics, in video production, in theory, design thinking, professional writing, and even business practices. So really you tailor this to whatever you think is best for you. And you can work with me or someone like Charlie, our program advisors, to see what's best in terms of course selection for you in those 15 elective credits that you take. Now, sometimes there are a couple of prereqs that come into the program that I want to be sure to mention. Maybe you're coming from more of a communications background and not as much of a design background. And so we might require you to take a foundational course. A foundational course, the credits do not count towards the degree, but they really establish you in the program. They make sure that you're ready for grad school. They make sure that you understand grids and basic typography and color selection and print production. And so that's really what 502 is doing, is it's really establishing this base for you. And so you may be required to take that foundational course in your first semester. Additionally, we also have a requirement before our courses begin of understanding some basics about web design and web terminology. We find that it helps if students come in a similar understanding of vocabulary and knowledge of web coding to kind of start in that 660 web development course. And so we sometimes offer a summer course called PBDS 501 that students take, but most students are opting to take some free courses through an online site called Code Academy to make sure that they have that basic understanding. So those are the two things that you might be asked to do before you enroll in classes or before you take specific classes, and those two courses would not count towards your degree. I often get asked, when do classes meet? So we meet in the evenings. Our classes are run once a week, so a little different than maybe an undergraduate program or some other programs who meet more than once a week. We meet once a week for about 2.5 hours at a time. Our classes begin at 5:30 p.m. and 8:15 p.m. during Monday through Thursday. On occasion, we do run a Saturday class or a Sunday class down at the University of Shady Grove. So a lot of times those are either at 11 a.m. or 1 p.m. And so we try to do that because we find that many of our students are working professionals and that works best for their schedules. Where do our classes meet? So we have a variety of options for classes. We meet at the University of Baltimore on their main campus in Mount Vernon. We meet at the University of Shady Grove down in the Rockville location. We offer online classes, and we offer what are called hybrid classes. And the hybrid class is where a class would meet sometimes maybe in the classroom, sometimes via Zoom, sometimes in an asynchronous format. And so it's just a little bit more flexible of a learning option that our classes take place in. So I just mentioned the University of Shady Grove as one place that students do take classes. And this is a picture of the lovely building down at USG where many of our classes take place. So what's really different for USG students is not a ton, to be honest. Like, we kind of, you're not, in your own little group, and you're not kind of segregated from us. We try to say that we're all one big group here, but we do have the program running down at the University of Shady Grove. So the location is different. Maybe you live closer to Rockville, or that's a better commute for you. Maybe that's just where you want to be. And so that's a thing that we have there. We have the same lab access that we have at main campus. Down at the University of Shady Grove, there is a Mac lab and the same access to software and services there. Additionally, if you're a USG student, you have the opportunity to engage in the student support services at both locations, the UB main campus and there. So things like the library access or career services, counseling services, have places in both locations. One of the things I will say for USG students to consider is that we may not offer every course in the program down at the University of Shady Grove. We try to make accommodations where we would do something where we do like a hybrid type course for USG students. We would Zoom them into a class at main campus so that you wouldn't necessarily be required to come to main campus for your courses. Now, I should say too, like when our capstone classes are taking place, we typically are listing them as running at main campus, and then we're working with our USG students to Zoom into our meetings to come up maybe once or twice in a semester to give a final presentation or to to engage with a client. But we work really hard with our USG students to ensure that they're not having to come to main campus a lot, that they can take most of what they want to do down at the Rockville location. But we don't have the ability to offer every elective in that place. So maybe something like book design would be offered at main campus and not down at USG. And so you would be encouraged, if you really want to take that class to build your portfolio, to attend that class up at main campus. So you're welcome to take classes at either location. Just because you're a main campus student doesn't mean you can't take classes down at USG, and vice versa. So who's in our program? Most of the students in our program are working professionals, which is why our classes are evenings and weekends. And so we look at this idea that many of these are working professionals who are looking to enhance their portfolio, who want to change their career path. Maybe they studied something in undergrad or have been in a job that doesn't feel quite right to them, and they're looking for that transition into something more design and communications related. And then we also have some students who are just working to build on foundational skills that they already possessed and felt like they needed more, who wanted to look and work on things more like motion and web development that maybe weren't as a big a part as what they've been doing, and yet they find themselves tasked to that in their new day-to-day jobs. Who teaches for us? I like to tell you that we have a small faculty who are really passionate about our students. We try to get to know our students and engage with our students, and I think you'll find that we really do care a lot about our students who are in this program here at the University of Baltimore. Our faculty is small, and we are made up of researchers and industry professionals. Our adjuncts are senior level typically in their career, and so most of us are actually working in the industry ourselves. So for example, I'm a freelancer. I was working on a client project most of my day today, and a lot of your faculty will be doing that same thing. So we bring a lot of that outside experience into what we do in the classrooms. Another question I get often is, what kind of jobs do graduates get? I think this is a good one and a really hard one. I wish I could just be like, oh, we go and we do this. But this is such a huge, broad field for us. And so people end up in communications, in nonprofit and corporate communications. People work as graphic designers in in-house and in agency environments. Our alumni are working as social media designers, event planners, package designers, project managers, creative directors, freelancers. There's a myriad of things and options for people to go into with this field, because one of the main things about design is that it really is relevant to any other interests that you have. If you're interested in business or a specific business, if you're interested in nonprofit or healthcare, communications is always a part of that. And someone who can marry the words and the images and communicate to a specific audience tends to be really valuable to an employer. And so we find that our graduates have a myriad of titles and are doing a lot of things that are interesting for them. I think, let's see, that's about it about the program, but I'm sure some of you have questions about this fall and what the University of Baltimore and the University of Shady Grove are doing in response to the COVID-19 situation that we find ourselves in. And I wanted to let you know that this fall we will be operating all of our courses in a remote format. So the University of Baltimore has decided that it is best for us and our students to stay in this remote format. So our courses will be online and hybrid based through the fall semester. And I think that's really a great opportunity for us in the design field. We talk a lot about design thinking and being flexible and being able to rethink problems and strategies and to make decisions kind of on the fly. And I think our program is really set up for this opportunity to take advantage of this time to really engage still with students and to deliver the same content, maybe even better in some instances in this way. And so one of the things that we're doing is we're offering a video course this semester, and that could be hard. Normally we're in person and we've got lights and we've got cameras and we've got equipment and all this stuff. And so our video faculty person has decided to do how do you trick out your phone to shoot professional quality video and photography in that way. And so we really are making some adjustments and adapting in that manner, but I just wanted to let you know that all of our courses this fall will stay in a remote format. All right, so hopefully you're interested in applying to the University of Baltimore. So how do we go about doing that? When you're ready to become a bee, you can apply online through the website. You'll need to submit the online application, which asks a lot of information and data to collect from you. Second thing will be a statement of personal interest. For me, as a person that's kind of the final to look at your admissions process, it's really great for me to see, why do you want to come to UB? Why are you interested in this program? So I encourage you to really give me a picture about why you are interested in becoming a part of our program. We'll need transcripts from any institution that you've attended, a copy of your resume, and then most importantly for me is your portfolio. This can be writing and or design samples. Some people don't have a lot of design samples, and that's fine. They come from predominantly from a communications background, and others maybe don't have as many writing samples, and that's okay too. I'm really looking for kind of 6 to 7 pieces here of that you think are your best work that would be really interesting. It will help me to see your potential in the program and to see if you need to take the foundational courses that I mentioned earlier. So those are the pieces that you would need to apply. If you're interested, I encourage you to take note that Yasmin has been so gracious to give you a waiver code to not have to pay any fees to apply, and that would be CAS 2020. When you go to do your application, you can enter that at the end when you submit it and not have to pay the fees. And that's really all I have to share with you tonight. But I'd like to open it up for questions that you might have and take a little time to share anything that maybe I've missed in our presentation.
Thank you so much, Professor Rhee. What a wealth of knowledge you've shared and given us about what we can do within the Masters of Integrated Design and how we can make an impact if for those of us who are in the design field. I want to open it up for questions. If anyone has any questions, please make sure you include them in the chat. One already would like to know, if you come from a design background, is it possible to test out in some of the required courses?
So I think that would be something we would discuss. We have had students test out of mostly something like 660, the web development. If you come from a really heavy and strong web background, we would evaluate some of your work and look at putting you into a different higher level web course. A lot of our students take courses in our information design, information architecture program for their electives. And so that's an opportunity too to expand on those skills that you might already bring to the table. If you feel like you have a really strong type background, a lot of times we will ask our faculty to evaluate your coursework, the faculty who are teaching that, and they would be able to look at your work and say, yes, we think that you should do this. But what we would do is we would require you to take advanced typography or type 2 through the program. Beyond that, I would say visual and verbal is always required. Portfolio and seminar are always required courses that aren't tested out of.
Great, thank you very much. There's another question. If you are already a University of Baltimore student and you're applying, is the program any different if you're already a University of Baltimore student? I'm assuming that would mean if you were an undergraduate student.
I'm not sure I understand that question. Can we see, can you say it again, Yasmin?
If you're already a UB student, is applying to the MA program any different?
No, so we would, I don't think so. I mean, Yasmin, you might correct me if I'm wrong. I would still need to see your statement of interest and your portfolio to establish, bringing you into the MA program. But we already have your transcripts on file and such like that. If you're transferring between programs, typically there is something that can work out there to make that happen that's a little bit easier.
That's correct. You would still be required to submit the application elements. However, you would not be required to submit your transcripts. And if you do talk to the program director and they've already viewed some of your portfolio, you may be able to get one of the admission requirements waived. So there's another question. Yeah. It says, my ultimate goal is a PhD in communications. Do you think that getting an integrated design master's degree would help or hurt getting to that final goal?
Sure. I think that's a great question, and yeah, that's awesome. Great aspirations. So we do have a doctorate in communications at the University of Baltimore, and we find that I think it does help. Really, you can kind of, again, tailor to what type of communication you want to work on. If you want to work a little bit more on your writing skills to apply for that PhD program, if you want to look at something along the way that has more, web development and branching out into social media kind of aspects, I think it just depends on what your ultimate goals are and what your current position is within the industry, right? And so I think you can really establish and use this program as a nice stepping stone into something like a PhD. I think it would set you up to be competent in graduate school work, to get a solid foundation in the visual and the verbal, and bring that to the table. A lot of communications people don't necessarily do both. They want to do either the writing or the design. And something that's unique about us is that we really try to marry those two things together. And we find that that's really valuable to most communications people. And what I find with students in the MA program is too, that they see that they don't necessarily have to go and do both things, but it gives them a better understanding. So maybe you are more of a writer and you end up working with designers. You understand what it's going to take to get that motion graphics piece that you envision or your team envisions out into like a real world environment. And so it just gives you this like broader sense of understanding of both sides of the communication field. And so I do think that it would absolutely be beneficial to you. I should also mention that the University of Baltimore has an MFA program in integrated design. So we take this even a step further in terms of theory and development. And that's a terminal degree program that you might want to look into too if you have some interest in that.
Great questions. I definitely want to talk about the MFA and the ability to do the MFA. How do you know if you would be eligible to do the MFA versus doing the MA in integrated design? Could you just briefly share that with
Sure,
us, Professor
absolutely.
Rhee?
So in the same way, we do a lot of the same programs, courses and opportunities, but the MFA program is a terminal degree program, and a lot of our students in the MFA start in the MA. They get their footing, they kind of start to feel like grad school is for them, and they realize that maybe more than 36 credits is something that they want to pursue. They also would like to have a terminal degree. Maybe they want to teach at some point in time, and so in the art industry, we do not get a PhD necessarily in art. You would get something more like communication, but we would look at, to teach, institutions require an MFA as a terminal degree. And so, a lot of students do get started, get to know our faculty, get to know our program, and then make that transition in. And the credits do transfer between the two programs. So it's not like time lost, particularly between the two, if you were to decide to start in the MA and then wish to transfer into our MFA program. And I'd be happy to talk to anyone who is really interested in that and figuring out which option was best for them.
That's great information. Thank you so much. Could you talk about what kinds of samples that you're looking for? What kind of writing sample? What should be included? What is a design sample? I want to make sure students know that as well.
Yeah. So this one's a hard question too, because everybody has kind of a different background. I see a lot of different things here. And so I say, put your best foot forward. If you're a writer, I see things like press releases, and I see things like, papers that were written for an undergraduate course. What I'm trying to get is, do you understand audience? How strong is your writing? Where does that help you to fit into the program? If we're looking at writing samples, normally, 3 to 4 writing samples is ideal if you're just doing writing. In the design realm, I see a whole lot of things. What I try to tell people is that to think about showing me as much variety as you can. Maybe it's, some social media posts that have been created in design. Maybe it's a poster layout. Maybe it's a video that you've done, whatever it would be, kind of putting those things together that give me the biggest variety to see what you're capable of. Now, a lot of people have, a lot of the same things. I have a couple of poster designs, maybe a logo development, and that's fine. And so, and if you don't have those, don't be concerned that's, that's kind of what we do in some ways, is we get people to do those things. But I like to see a variety of samples as much as possible. Some people include personal artwork too. Maybe you work in-house for an organization, and so you are limited by brand, you're limited by, what the client wants or your boss wants. And so maybe it's not what you feel is your most creative work, but it's your portfolio work because that's what you're able to do. And that's absolutely fine. A lot of people then want to include their photography or their own paintings and drawings. And that absolutely helps me just to see kind of your own style and personality. Again, what I'm really trying to assess in that is whether or not you need to take a foundational course and get really comfortable in the software and the design principles.
Great. That's a great, thank you very much for sharing that information. The next question is, would you need to apply separately if you want to do 2 master's courses within the school?
Ooh, Yasmin, that might be you and not me.
And
Yes, I think you do actually have to apply to both programs within the institution, because we have different, not generally like university admissions policies, but different programs have different admissions criteria into them.
You do. And so you would want to make sure that you reach out to the program director to see if you would be eligible. So for example, if you're already in the master's in integrated design, just so you know, we have a whole design at UB component. So most of those classes you are able to take as elective courses, but if you wanted to take a course in one of the other colleges, like the School of Business or our School of Law or something like that, you would need to speak with the program director for the college that you and for the program that you would want to take that class in.
Can I add to that, Yasmin? Can I interrupt you and add in? A lot of times, because we work so closely with the information design, information architecture program at the University of Baltimore, through that design at UB component that Yasmin has mentioned, we find that students in our program take electives over there and also maybe take a couple of extra courses and complete their certificate in user experience along the way. And so that's something that we can talk about too, if that's really of interest to you, is also pursuing that. A lot of those IDIA courses are great for Shady Grove students because they do offer their full program online, and so there's a lot of opportunity to also get a certificate possibly along the way to your Master of Arts in Integrated Design.
So the next question is, how would we send a portfolio, especially if we have video graphics? Is there a website or does it need to be PDF? That's a great question.
That is a good question. Yeah, so a lot of students send a PDF that links to their website if you have stuff that's already out there, things like bigger files or video graphics. So in the application process, there's a place to send them to, like the documents at ubalt.edu, but I always encourage you to also send them directly to me and to Yasmin so that we can see them and ensure that we get them in the format that you would like us to see. And so yeah, people send most of the time I'm getting a PDF, I would say, but a lot of times that PDF includes the link to their personal site or a page within their personal site that is their portfolio to house some of those other works.
And one final question. Someone is looking at our University of Baltimore website and seeing that we provide our students with the opportunity to take courses at MICA, and they wanted to know what is involved in that process and if there's a list of MICA courses that are available to UB students.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So this becomes, there's really nothing there's, I think, a form through our registrar's office that you do. You talk to the program director to ensure that the course is something that we don't offer at UB and is in line with your career goals. And then you're able to register, you pay your tuition to UB and everything in that way. It's a relatively simple process, like in terms of that, but what's complicated a lot of times is getting students actually enrolled in the MICA course. So I will say from my understanding of how that works, they don't allow our students to enroll until almost the 11th hour, and they give the seat to, if their class were to fill with MICA students, then you would not be given a seat in the class, even if you registered, early on, is kind of how they organize things. So it absolutely is something that happens. It's any course really at the institution at the graduate level. So you need to be sure that it's kind of normally a 500 level or above course. It's something that we wouldn't offer at the University of Baltimore, and that you would talk to me about why you feel that would be a benefit as a course for you to take as one of your electives.
Thank you very, very much for providing that. Yes, they do provide first priority to MICA students regarding reserved seating. So you can take the class. It is a very, very simple process, and you would speak to Professor Rhee and they would work it out. You wouldn't have to do anything extra except for speak with her, and then we would coordinate with our registrar's office. Does anyone else have any further questions for Professor Rhee or myself or about Shady Grove to Charlie Martino? Well, if we have nothing further to add, I'd like to thank Professor Rhee. I'd like to thank Charlie Martino, who is the academic advisor at our Shady Grove location. And thank you so much for joining us this evening to get your questions answered about University of Baltimore and the Integrated Design Program. If you have any questions, as you can see, you can reach us directly. My contact information is listed on the slide, as well as Professor Rhee's It's mrhee@ubalts.edu. She can be reached via email. And Charlie Martino's is CMARTINO@ubalts.edu as well. So if anyone has any other questions, again, feel free to reach out to us. We thank you so much for considering University of Baltimore and hope that we'll see an application for you soon and you'll be joining us as a student. Thank you so much and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.